Hello, welcome to the JimRPG show. This is your weekly roundup of news from the gaming industry, and today we're going to be talking about the PS5. There have been some rumors about pre-orders for the PS5 that are about to go live, and we're also going to be talking about some games from Ubisoft. They've announced Watch Dogs 3 and Far Cry 6, and AMD's Lisa Su confirms that Zen 3 will be out at the end of this year. But first, let's get to the PS5 news. And on Amazon Australia, the pre-order pages have gone up. So they've listed the console, the digital edition, the DualSense controller, the DualSense charging station, media remote, camera, Pulse 3D headset, and this most likely points to the fact that there's probably going to be a pre-order announcement coming up about the PlayStation 5 pretty soon. And they've also listed a bunch of games, although this does not really mean that all of these games will be launch titles, but they will probably be in the launch window. So there's NBA 2K21, Miles Morales, which was already confirmed to be coming this Christmas, Demon's Souls, Destruction All-Stars, Sackboy, Ratchet and Clank, Gran Turismo 7. Now, Horizon Forbidden West was a title that was 2021, so I would still bet that Horizon Forbidden West will probably be 1 year later, so I'm not sure why this one is there right now, but you know, there have been times where pre-order pages have been 1 year out. And also Returnal. Now, somebody has also said that there was a rumor that the PS5 pre-orders will go live on the 13th on Reddit. And I believe this was from a tweet, but I don't actually have the tweet handy right now. But geez, they've even got times. So Mulraven from Reddit writes, I think Roberto Serrano was the first person to suggest pre-orders will go live on Monday. He later clarified that it will go live at 9:30 p.m. CEST. And what is that in Eastern time zone? 5:30 Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, or 5:30 a.m. Eastern. So it looks like it's probably likely that these PS5 pre-orders will be sometime this week, which is a very interesting stealth announcement. You'd think that they would probably have some sort of, official tweet regarding all of this information rather than just pages going up on Amazon. So expect them to either denounce the rumor pretty soon, or for the official Twitter to actually confirm all of this stuff. And what we really want to know, what everybody wants to know, is the price of the PlayStation 5. So it doesn't look like there's long to go now before we finally get the price for the console, and then we can actually do some real analysis. And interesting that Microsoft, there's been no, rumors or hints of the price from Microsoft. So they've been, they've learned their lesson from last time from the Xbox One, where they announced their price and then the PS5 actually came back and announced a lower price than theirs. So they're doing the right thing by holding back. And for PS5, they're the industry leader, so they can set the price to whatever they want to. And the interest for the PS5 is so far ahead of the Xbox Series X right now that the PS5 can kind of go ahead and announce their price. We've seen that a lot of the PlayStation 5 videos on YouTube get way more views than Xbox Series X, and we're talking like 10 times the number of views. So the interest for PlayStation 5 is definitely there versus the Xbox Series X. So it's in the Xbox's best interest not to get beaten on price. So I believe probably within the next week, when we have our next episode of the JimRPG show, we'll probably get the prize for this, and then we can have a really big discussion on Sony's strategy going forward. Ubisoft has announced Watch Dogs Legion. Now, this is essentially Watch Dogs 3, and they've also announced a release date for this, which will be October 29th, which is interesting. It's going to be coming very close to Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Now, Assassin's Creed Valhalla looks like it's probably going to be coming around mid-November. I don't think there was an actual date announcement, although I didn't watch the Ubisoft forward, so maybe they announced it there. But yeah, very close for 2 Ubisoft games to be announced or coming out together around the same sort of time period. Now, there's a 7-minute gameplay overview trailer, and it's interesting that they didn't really do a cinematic trailer for this. They've just gone with the straight gameplay overview trailer, which is good in a way. We don't really need that cinematic trailer, but it seems like for their big tentpole release games, Ubisoft goes for a cinematic trailer, like for Hyperscape, and for what you'll see later for Far Cry 6, they also had that cinematic trailer to begin with. Watch Dogs, they've just simply gone with the gameplay trailer. I don't know what that says to me in regards to, I guess, the pecking order of all of the Ubisoft games, but it seems like Assassin's Creed is definitely the bigger game versus Watch Dogs. Now, this 7-minute trailer was pretty interesting. I did take some notes about it. So basically, essentially, there's been a terrorist attack in London. The game is set in London. Time period's not mentioned, but it seems like it's pretty similar to the time, our time. You can see already there's a London eye there. And there's been a terrorist attack, and the government has enlisted a private corporation to help with the security of the city. And obviously, it looks like from the trailer they're the bad guys, and they're the ones being quite authoritarian towards the citizens of London. Now, Watch Dogs, as everybody knows, is like a sort of open world city game where the special abilities are where you're hacking into things and you're trying to work out how to solve the mission with the hacking elements that you have. So, for example, they showed one in the trailer where you can hack into a car and then you can just drive the car around when you're not actually in the car. Seems like Watch Dogs 3 is more of the same. Now, the big change in what Watch Dogs 3 from the trailer looks like is that you can recruit a variety of members, and they all have different abilities to your, I guess, legion, and then you can choose whoever you want to go on into your mission. So then that kind of opens up different ways to attack each mission. So, for example, they showed off about 4 different types of different members that you can choose to go. So there was a construction worker, and he was able to hack into the car and then drive that car around, and he was able to use a drone, a very large construction drone, where he hopped onto the construction drone and just flew everywhere. And he had a nail gun for a weapon, and overall he looked like the type of melee character that you would typically find in that type of game. There was also this drunken guy who beat up people with his beer glass. There was a tech person who used more stealth to, I guess, with their mission, they use a lot more stealth and tried to sneak around people to try to get their way past enemies. There was a hitman who specialized in a lot of like very cool attacks. So there's a whole variety of ways to play the game. Now, the only thing that concerns me still is the way that it looks like the game is still set up. And we've had this issue before with a lot of Ubisoft games where they would have a number of people dotted across the map, or there would be some sort of like family tree of bad guys, and you kill off all the underlings before you get to the main boss, like for example in Ghost Recon or Assassin's Creed. And it looks like they're kind of doing the same thing here, because for a split second they showed off the map with a whole bunch of icons or faces of the bad guys that you had to go and kill, and you had to go and acquire the target and then go and kill that target. So kind of looks like you're just going to go and find out who the bad guy is and then go to that spot and try to figure out a way to like take him down. So it's kind of more of the same Ubisoft like cookie cutter design. So I guess if you totally happy with that, then you'll like Watch Dogs. But if you've kind of seen that one too many times, then maybe you'd probably just want to wait it out and see if and maybe watch some gameplays or let's plays to see if this is the type of game that you want to play. But Watch Dogs Legion coming out October the 29th, and there's definitely going to be more information as we get closer to the game release. Now, Ubisoft also announced another game today, and it was Far Cry 6. And let me just read some of this from Eurogamer. Ubisoft has now officially announced Far Cry 6 for release on 18th of February 2021, following an earlier leak last week. As we know already, the game stars Breaking Bad and The Mandalorian's Giancarlo Esposito as its antagonist Anton Castillo, a brutal dictator who rules over the game's Cuban-influenced setting. The casting of Anton Castillo, I believe this should probably be Anthony Gonzalez, but I need to double check. Star of Pixar film Coco, was also confirmed today. He plays Castillo's 13-year-old son Diego, a boy unsure whether to follow in his father's footsteps. Now, they released a cinematic trailer, so there's not much going on in the trailer aside from the fact that they kind of explain who these two people are. The dictator, played by Giancarlo Esposito, and his son, and where they are. There's been sort of an uprising that they show in the trailer, and kind of what a brutal dictator that the Anton Castillo is in the trailer, and that they don't really show any more than that in the 3 or 4 minutes. But what they do show is that the graphics are absolutely mind-blowing. Like what you're seeing right now on this page is basically what they look like with in-game footage, and Giancarlo is so close to looking photorealistic. Now, everybody says that PlayStation 2, when games for PlayStation 2 came out, the cars in Gran Turismo 3 were photorealistic, but we are really, really getting close with Far Cry 6. And yeah, I think even if you're not interested in the Far Cry series, and I've never played any of the Far Cry games, I think everybody should go and check out the cinematic trailer for Far Cry 6, because their graphics are really mind-blowing. And there's probably no way that this game is going to be on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. This will most likely be a next generation game. And this is really ridiculous in terms of graphical fidelity. Now, there wasn't too much information from the trailer, but Eurogamer has a little bit more information about it. You play Danny Rojas, a guerrilla fighter trying to take down the presidency's rule. It's a character which can be played as either female or male. While heavily based on Cuba, Far Cry 6 is set on the fictional island of Yara. Ubisoft describes the country as its most ambitious open world to date, with a series classical tropical beaches and jungles mixed in beside Esperanza, its sprawling capital city. Let me just stop there. Yeah, so with all of the Far Cry games, the Far Cry games look so good. The only thing that really bogs it down is sometimes it's not clear, at least from a lot of people who play the games, especially when you go and read forum comments. They just feel like there's more of that sort of Ubisoft cookie cutter type of game design. And that's that's probably what's the only thing that's holding me back from playing Far Cry 6, is that really need to wait and see if the gameplay is any good, and whether it's, going to be the same as Far Cry 1 to Far Cry 5, or whether Far Cry 6 will be something that's different. Because even though Far Cry is its own game with its own studio, a lot of the Ubisoft games, they have very, very similar traits. And I've played Assassin's Creed and Division and Ghost Recon, and Assassin's Creed is okay. Like, I can get through most of that game. Yes, a lot of the time I am quite bored, but with the Division and Ghost Recon, it is way worse. Yeah, Ghost Recon especially. The Division wasn't too bad, but Ghost Recon, yeah, was really dry. We're talking about Wildlands here. So when you put that all together, Far Cry is kind of like a Ghost Recon's Division type of game, and playing too much of the same sort of Ubisoft games where you're after this target and now you're going to go and find out where he's on the map and go and kill him, and then repeat that like 100 times. Feels like, yeah, there's only so many of those type of games you can really play. But this has me interested because the graphics are too good. Now, it does look like it's going to be in-game footage. It doesn't look like it's been pre-rendered. It does look like it's in-game engine, I should say. Whether that makes a difference or not, I don't really know. But it looks like in-game graphics have taken another step up. When we saw the Xbox Inside Xbox Showcase, we really didn't see any games that looked at this level. The Inside Xbox Showcase clearly showed games that were very cross-gen, which is a shame because the Xbox Series X clearly has the better GPU. So they really needed to show something like this, and they were really only 2 months away from this. Inside Xbox Showcase was in May. What if they kind of just delayed that Inside Xbox Showcase to coincide with Far Cry 6, and get some sort of like exclusive with Ubisoft to show that with the next generation Xbox Series X, because a lot of fans were disappointed with the Inside Xbox. Now people are thinking that it's just not as powerful as they want it to be. They've seen the PlayStation 5, they've seen that Unreal Engine footage, they think that's what the PS5 is capable of, and now the Xbox hasn't really shown anything. But I don't want to make this too much about the Xbox. This is more about Far Cry 6, and people really need to keep an eye on this one. This one looks really good. We kind of do need to wait and see if there's a gameplay trailer before we go bonkers that this game looks amazing. But the cinematic trailer does look really fantastic. Now they say that Ubisoft, it's been in development for 4 years, which is a really long time. It's probably not been 4 years for pure development, but there's probably been some sort of like pre-development period of like a year developing the story and all that. So yeah, but it looks like it's been developed for a while now. And the other thing I just wanted to say was that Giancarlo Esposito, I didn't think that he would look that good, and I didn't think his performance would be that good. He's kind of dry in Breaking Bad, from what I've seen anyway. I'm still part way through watching Breaking Bad in season 4, but he is really good in this, and the technical capability of the animation is stunning. So that's Far Cry 6, and everybody should keep an eye out for it. So here's something interesting that I found today, and as a huge Lego fan who has a lot of sets, there is a leak that there is a Nintendo and Lego set coming soon, and it looks like it says here coming August the 1st for $229, where you get to build a TV and you get to build the first Nintendo Entertainment System, which is the American Nintendo Entertainment System and not the Famicom. Maybe in Japan they'll do a Famicom. But it looks like it has a few interesting features. Well, first of all, it looks like it's going to be a Lego Creator Expert line, although they've gotten rid of the Creator Expert line these days. It's just Lego Creator. And it's 18 plus, which is interesting, because previously the Creator Expert lines were around 16, and I believe some of the Creator Expert, like the Christmas ones, were like about 12 plus. Anyway, and it has 2,646 pieces. So you get the TV, you get a cartridge of Super Mario Brothers. Now that'll be really interesting to see how they put that together, where it's just a bunch of like 4x2s. And there is a Nintendo system and with one controller. And I don't believe they give you like the power brick or anything like that, or the power cord, or the RF cable. And there's some special features with the TV itself, so you can wind it up, and I believe that will make the screen scroll. So I believe there's going to be a ton of bricks that scroll, and then you get Mario jumping up and down. Now, while looking through some of these pictures, I noticed a few things, and it looks like Mario is moving around on the screen, and I would probably guess that as you wind this around, it's probably moving Mario around. So it looks like the screen is scrolling and then Mario is moving up and down according to how you, I guess it doesn't really matter. Mario's movement is basically fixed. Now, some really cool things is that they use like a quarter pizza slice there for the mushroom, and the same thing with the Goomba, and yeah, and then there was this other thing. It looked like if you want this brickheads, you can add that on top, but it will be separate to the console. And it also says starter course 71360 needed. I'm not 100% sure what that means. Maybe let me just have a look and see what 7136 is. Oh right, so in the starter set 71360 you get a little Mario, so it's not a brickhead, but you can put Mario from that set on top. I guess he plays some music with that. Now, the other thing that I found interesting was that it was 2,646 pieces. So that's a huge number of pieces. So this is going to be pretty big sized. And also the other thing was that I'd be pretty sure that the back of this is probably closed. So it won't be open backed. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm guessing the way that they've designed this is that they probably won't leave this open backed. Maybe there'll be some sort of door that you can open up so that you can see how it all works inside. But on the other side, it should be closed back. And that's probably why there's so many pieces. And then there's a whole bunch of like knobs and things. Hopefully these knobs do something, though it's hard to say if they will or not. If it indeed does play some music, hopefully turning a couple of these knobs will make it play the music louder. And I would probably say there's the Nintendo itself probably doesn't do anything except maybe you could put the cartridge in there, and that's probably about it. And there's some sort of like spring function inside where you can pull the cartridge out. But aside from that, as a Lego fan, this is probably not something that I would normally buy. just because the play functions aren't really there. This is the type of thing that you kind of just leave as a showpiece on your, I guess, display cabinet. And when I buy my Lego, I tend to look at the playability of the Lego sets. So I probably won't be getting this, but I think this is an interesting collaboration between two companies that haven't really done that much together. Now, we've had some of these Nintendo Mario sets where they've shown the courses of Mario games, and they did okay, but I don't know how many people really bought them or how successful they were. I wasn't really that interested in them. I'm still there's still so many other sets to get over these Mario sets, but there were been a lot of leaks about whether they were getting like a Zelda set and things like that. And if people are buying these Nintendo sets, then you can definitely expect Lego to make more of these in the future. Now, just a few other pieces of information about this. So there's some information in German here. The set number will be 71374. As we already know, it's going to be August 1st, 2020. There's 2,646 pieces. The Euro price is 229, so expect the US price to be about 229, if not 249. And usually they're about 10 cents a piece, so it's probably going to be 249, I believe. I don't think it will be 199. Not unless you know, Lego decides to have some sort of like introductory price for this first Lego set. And they said the TV, the phones here, is 23.9 centimeters by 22.6 centimeters. The controller is 12.6 by 5.1, which I believe is probably more or less close to the real size of the controller. And the Nintendo is 20.8 by 7.5. 7.5 in height, I guess, and 20.5 in that direction. So that's probably close. Maybe 3/4 size or 4/5, I guess. But yeah, that's all the information, as it's a leak, and Lego usually keeps their, or makes people delete their leaks very quickly. So there's probably not going to be too much more information about this, although it will be August the 1st, so it's already the 13th of July, so they'll probably announce something pretty soon, I would expect. And these are unofficial pics, obviously from somebody who, a retailer who's got their, or maybe the factory even. As you can see, the backing of this looks like it's definitely unofficial, and looks like they've even opened it up to check out the instruction book. But there you go, that's the leak on the Nintendo Entertainment System, a collaboration between Lego and Nintendo. Now here's a very interesting article from VentureBeat, and the headline is Sony invests $250 million in Fortnite maker Epic Games. Now, as we all know, Epic Games, a couple of months ago, straight after the Inside Xbox showcase, about 3 or 4 days later, Epic Games decided to release their Unreal 5 engine demo. And at the front of the demo, they said that this was footage taken from the PlayStation 5. So everybody thought that this was what the PlayStation 5 was capable of. And for the Inside Xbox showcase, people were disappointed because they showed a lot of cross-gen games that weren't really next-gen. So people weren't that excited from the showcase. And already there weren't a lot of people watching Inside Xbox. And when people saw the Unreal 5 engine demo, people were super hyped that it got a ton of views, both from, I guess, the PC gamers, and also from the PlayStation gamers, and as well, I guess, Xbox gamers who wanted to see what the PlayStation 5 was capable of. So in effect, Sony knew exactly what they were doing when by all likelihood, they asked Epic Games to release some sort of footage where it said PlayStation 5 footage. It was captured on the PlayStation 5. Now, we're not saying that Tim Sweeney took money to say nice things about Sony. What we're saying is that it seems very clear that Sony and Epic, they did some sort of deal, and they were in partnership with each other, and Epic Games were clearly happy to help Sony look good, I guess, after this investment from Sony. Now, from the VentureBeat article, says Sony has invested $250 million for a minority stake in Fortnite maker Epic Games, the companies announced today. With the new money, Epic Games has raised $1.83 billion to date. Now, just for a bit of perspective, in April alone, thanks to the pandemic, Fortnite revenue was $400 million, sources told me. So if you extrapolate that out, Fortnite probably makes Epic about maybe like $4 billion over the course of a year. And so raising 1.8, while this is not huge amounts of money for Epic, they make already tons of money from Fortnite. It's still fairly significant. It's still like 50% of what they make normally, and that kind of allows them to expand even faster than what they could already. So don't sneeze that this 250 means nothing when you compare it to the 400 million that they make every month. This 2 billion still is clearly quite a substantial amount and allows them to grow a lot faster than what they could previously. Now, this 2 billion, what they could obviously do is buy companies that they want to get technologies in. Normally people want to buy the money either to take away their competition or to buy IPs and the technology. And Epic Games clearly wants to move faster than they could normally. Now, it says here Epic confirmed that it will be able to publish to other platforms. As noted, Sony is acquiring only a minority part of Epic Games, and it is not acquiring a controlling stake in the company. Update: Sony is acquiring a 1.4% stake in Epic, which means the deal values Epic Games at $17.86 billion. So it's a very small stake, but already it's had huge impact on the console race. One, from the fact that Epic and Sony can work together on an engine that benefits both of them. And two, going forward, Sony gets a huge say in the technologies implemented into the Unreal Engine so that they can make better games for their system. And I've highlighted here, the deal is important for Sony because it needs allies in the upcoming console war. Later this year, Sony plans to launch the PlayStation 5 game console in competition with Microsoft's Xbox Series X. But Epic has said that its Unreal Engine 5 and Fortnite will work with all game platforms, as Epic has generally been neutral when it comes to making cross-platform technology. If Sony gets any advantage from investing in Epic, it isn't clear from this deal. So, of course, Epic will want it to work on Xbox Series X. We know that Microsoft, if they compete hard, then they can still get quite a bit of share from the console race. From the previous race, they had about 40 million units versus Sony's 100 million units for the PlayStation 4. So 40 is still not a bad amount. But, you know, they don't want to lose that part of the audience. So definitely Epic is always going to be third party. But if they're going to get investment from the console leader, there's no reason for Epic not to work with them. AMD CEO Dr. Lisa Su reaffirmed that Zen 3 is to launch this year. Now, Zen 3 is Ryzen 4000 series, so I thought it was interesting that she made the comment reaffirming Zen 3 in a Matisse 2 video. Matisse 2 is the speed bump refresh. So it's the Ryzen 3600 XT and the 3700 XT and 3800 XT, which is a refresh of the 3000 series line of the 3600, 3700, 3800, and it's about 5% or 5 to 7% speed difference on the old Matisse CPUs. So actually, there was no real reason for her to confirm that, because it might actually hinder the sales of Matisse too. But I guess she is very confident right now of her position in the market, and that she's not going to really lose the Matisse 2 sales. Because I think there is kind of two markets, right? With Matisse 2, these are clearly customers that need a CPU right now and can't wait any longer. So for people who are doing work and can't really wait like 6 months for Ryzen 4000 to come out, so they just have to go ahead and buy a Matisse 2. And Matisse 2 will be no slouch, really. Matisse 2, surely Vermeer Ryzen 4000 will probably be like 15-20% better than Matisse 2, but if you really need it, then it's probably not worth the wait to go wait for Ryzen 4000, especially if you're doing work and stuff. Now, so she must be really confident also in the fact that Ryzen 4000 is coming this year. And usually she's been straight balling it, like when she says something is coming out, then it usually comes out roughly on schedule. Now, my speculation for Zen 3 really is that it has a number of factors to do with everything else that is coming out this year. So AMD is working on the PlayStation 5, so the Navi GPUs in there. So I believe Ryzen 4000 or Zen 3 is looking like it's probably going to come out in between PlayStation 5 and the big Navi GPUs. Now, the reason I say this is because I believe that AMD probably already has decided that they want to get the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X chips out of the way first. And they can't sell everything. And they know that the average consumer can't go and buy a PC or a console. So they've decided that they're going to go ahead and launch the consoles first. So they don't want to release Zen 3 at around the time that PlayStation 5 is going ahead. And they don't want their big GPU to also cannibalize their console sales. So they want their console to be really successful so they can get more console orders, I guess. And we know that the console will probably be around October sometime. And I believe that that probably means that Big Navi will probably be early next year. So it could be like March sometime. So in between March and October and March, we'll probably get Ryzen 4000 or Zen 3. Now, the reason why they probably decided to release a Matisse 2, one, obviously to combat Intel's Comet Lake S right now that's just released, so they wanted to make sure that they were close enough to IBC gains so that it was comparable to Intel's latest chips. And it looks like Matisse 2 is not really that far behind. It's very close in terms of actual single core speed. And I think for definitely with the number of cores, they've got Intel beat anyway, so that's not going to matter too much. They really wanted to improve their IPC gains so that they're closer to Intel's gaming performance. Now, the other reason why that they didn't want to launch Zen 3 right now, particularly when Zen 2 launched around this time last year, remember, and usually there's about a 12-month cycle between CPUs, at least for previous AMD CPUs. is that Nvidia is probably looking like that they're going to launch their Ampere GPUs around August, September for a paper launch. Now, if AMD announced their CPUs without their GPUs, and their GPUs is going to be March next year, that's a huge gap. So people are going to buy an AMD and Nvidia GPU, and by the time the Navi GPU comes out, everybody's already bought their GPU and locked it in. So that's probably why Zen 3 has been delayed to, I guess, end of this year. And when she says end of this year, I believe it's probably going to be like a late November, December. Nobody really launches anything in December, so it's probably going to be a late November launch. So that's probably another reason why they don't want to launch Zen 3. They want to make sure that people thinking about buying the Ryzen 4000, that they give their Big Navi a look. So if the Ryzen 4000 comes out, say like November, December, and people still don't have their computer yet, and they're looking in say January or February, and it's so close to the Big Navi, maybe they'll think about buying the Big Navi already. So then they won't be buying the Nvidia GPU. That's probably what I think is going on. Ampere, they want to get their GPUs out early because they don't want the competition from AMD. So they want to get out as far ahead as possible. So Ampere will probably be like around August sometime. And then we're going to get Ryzen 4000, I guess, in November, December sometime. That's my speculation of what AMD is probably thinking about. And remember, I guess this is all speculation. So if you think you know what's going on, please write in the comments below and let me know what you think. That's the news on Zen 3. It's very much looking like that it's going to be later this year. AMD CEO Dr. Lisa Su has confirmed it will be end of this year. When, we don't know, but from my speculation anyway, it's looking like it's probably going to be in November, December sometime.